This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Come from the 606 Media Studios. This is the TCSF podcast with Big Z. This week, a special edition of Cubs Talk with Ivan from the Tape Never Lies. And it's glad to I'm glad to talk baseball because every other team in damn city sucks. But episode 226 is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 to get 15% off your entire order while you order your TCSF shirts. If you haven't done so, we have a bunch of other shows on the 606 Media lineup. No Water on the Weekend with Stevie B and Sean Daly. And then you have Intoxicated with Big Z. And then Ivan, people are clamoring about when your show is coming back on air. Any details on that?
It'll be after the season.
After the season?
Yeah, there's just so much. And then, doing so much on multiple shows a week. And then now I'm cutting tape for the draft and everything. So it's going to get a little bit busier. But once the season has ended, baseball, comes back into play. That's pretty much when the show will be back in full swing.
Definitely super excited to get you back up on the screens for 606 Media. And but without further ado, let's get into Cubs baseball this week. We're talking about Sammy Sosa. He dropped a bombshell on us this week. And it might have been a bombshell for us, but I felt like it was very well orchestrated between Sammy Sosa, the marketing people that he had working for him, and the Chicago Cubs. He issued a statement. Do you have that statement up there with you, or no? Not yet.
Not yet. I'm
actually
trying to dig it up right now.
While you pull that up, we're going to talk about Sammy. His not really an admission, but recognition of him using performance enhancement drugs to aid his recovery. Is that what we're going to call it? We're going to talk about the Cubs trades and signings that they've done this week. We'll recap that, and then we'll spend like 4 or 5 minutes on the White Sox at the end of the show. But definitely we're going to talk a lot of baseball because it is this is what's in the news at the moment. So if you don't know, Sammy Sosa played a long time for the Chicago Cubs, and if you're very young, you probably weren't there to watch the historical significance and the significance to every Chicago Cub fan and how impactful he was. In the 94 year, Jerry Reinsdorf was instrumental in creating a strike, which made no sense because his team, the White Sox, were in contention to probably go to the World Series against the Expos. And there was a strike, and they didn't play that year, and then baseball was pretty much dead. And if it wasn't for Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, the steroid era, there probably would not be baseball right now. I don't know. I mean, that's an alternate universe, and we don't live there. But Sammy Sosa started hitting home runs he started getting big around 96.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 94 he had 25, 95 he had 36, then he had 40 in 96, 36 in 97, and the historical chase with Mark McGwire, he had 66.
Well, yeah, but we all got to remember, and you're right. That's when Sammy, came onto the scene, right? I guess nationally, as But Sammy was a 30-30 guy, or was he a 25? He was a 20-20 or was 30-30, I believe. He had 30 homers, 30 steals.
Stolen bases. He had 36 in 93, 22 in 94, 34 in 95. And then once he started hitting home runs, that was not. Once
he started putting on muscle.
Right? Yeah, muscle mass, right? Yeah, he can't move.
He started putting on muscle. That's when Sammy's home runs came up. But Sammy was. I'm not going to say he was. He was going to do what he did, right? Because you can't really say what a person would do off of the juice as compared to on the juice. Although
Mhm.
hitting is a different story. Like
Correct.
if you're able to hit, you're able to hit. But
Mhm.
if your ball's able to go 100 feet further or 200 feet further
Mhm.
than the next guy, then that's where the issues lie because now you're getting extra help putting balls over the fence and putting runs on the board, and that's it's like I said, there was Sammy before who was athletic, fast. He like I said, his career was still yet to be you know understood. Like you couldn't really just look at Sammy Sosa and be like, oh yeah, he's going to go ahead and hit 600 home runs in his career, or if I,
Mhm.
you know what I mean. Like you just it wasn't there when he was young, but then obviously he did some things, took some steroids. Although he won't admit it, and I do have the statement up. Um,
Okay.
if you'd like to, I don't know if you could see it on the bottom.
Yeah, it's up here on the bottom. What do I need to do? Just add the stage?
Yeah, just add it to the stage.
All right, here's a statement. I don't know if I can't. That's a little small.
Yeah,
Can't read.
I'll read it here.
There you go.
Um, so this is Sammy Sosa's statement uh, to, I guess, the fans and the Cubs and all of baseball, or pretty much mainly the Cubs and the fans, right? So I left it all on the field for the Cubs and Cubs fans because I wanted to win and make the fans happy. I love to see the fans at Wrigley in the right in the right field bleachers every home game. I understand why some players in my era don't always get the recognition that our stats deserve. There were times I didn't. I did whatever I could to recover from injuries, and in an effort, excuse me, to keep my strength up to perform over 162 games. I never broke any laws, but in hindsight, I made mistakes and I apologize. We accomplished great things as a team, and I worked extremely hard in the batting cage to become a great hitter. Cubs fans are the best in the world, and I hope that the fans, the Cubs, and I can all come together again and move forward. We can't change the past, but the future is bright. In my heart, I have always been a Cub, and I can't wait to see Cubs fans again. Sincerely, Sammy Sosa. So there's um there's a lot of there's mixed feelings about that, right?
Okay.
It's not necessarily an apology, not for me, but around from hearing it around the city, you know, on the radio, everybody has mixed feelings about the steroid era, right? And everybody definitely in Chicago has mixed feelings about Sammy Sosa because of what happened, with the steroids, because of what happened when he left, the kind of teammate he was towards the end. I don't know how he was at the beginning, but towards the
Yeah.
end, once the attention became it was all slamming Sammy. You know what I mean? You started hearing, you hear stories about the clubhouse just being the Sammy world, and you had a bunch of fucking people that probably didn't belong in the clubhouse that that were just kind of hangers on of Sammy's, and people didn't like it. Also, the infamous boombox where only Sammy's music got to be played, like shit like that. I could
Yeah.
definitely side with teammates and be like, hey, fuckface, you're not God's gift to the world, right? But because of the home run chase and what Sammy
Mhm.
did, 63 was it 3 straight years of 60 plus home runs?
That's what it
Nobody's
looks like right now. Yeah.
nobody's ever done that. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever
Uh,
been able to do that before, or since. And yeah, it was there. There was if you look at the Mitchell report,
mhm.
everybody in your majority of them, I want to say everybody, majority of the guys that we rooted for were using.
Yeah,
Majority
you're
like majority of the top players, and I say majority because there's just so many. You know what I mean? And there's so many that were listed in there, and it's just like, dude, there's just like half of the league, or at least a quarter of the league is using, You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
there's no
and
end in sight.
there really wasn't an insight because like you said, a lot of these players were using it, and a lot of them were in their twilight of their career, so they were trying to stay on while still having these skills. They were very elite players, but this was the edge for them to stay elite and stay in the league. Your Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before this even happened, so let's establish that. He just got like ridiculous. Like the Simpsons made a spoof of this, of all these players taking this juice and getting all big and their heads growing and so forth. Yes, we knew that, but it helped baseball. Baseball covered it until they couldn't cover it anymore because they're like, we can't deny this. And yes, at the time, it was not illegal. It's not. It was at that time. It was not illegal because it wasn't in the contract.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't. I believe there were, and I could be wrong, but I believe Sammy has a stipulation where he was taking these things in the DR, right? And he's in his mind, he's like, that shit's not illegal in the DR. I did that in the DR. Like, what's the issue going back here? And again, I'm not siding with that. That's, to me, come on now, Sammy. And that's where the mistakes, in his message,
omission.
in his omission. That's where the mistakes are, right? So it's like, okay, I understand. I get it. Like, I'm not accepting this, but you came out here and said, and first of all, I don't like the fact that we have to force this man to come out here, like, apologize, like hold him by the collar and apologize.
Do you need an apology? Do you need an apology from Sammy?
I don't need an apology from Sammy Sosa.
Okay.
This is the thing. This is an entertainment business, right?
Correct.
They were dying. The baseball was dying.
Yep.
When all of a sudden, boom, the home run race started. And all of a sudden, everybody in the fucking world, everybody was talking about it, Jose. You remember the 98?
I do.
Every day of that summer was like, yo, Sosa McGuire. McDonald's was having commercials. Sammy was everywhere.
It was cups. You can get cups. The Sammy Sosa cups.
Yes. I have this commemorative like booklet with like two little gold-plated cards with stats on them and shit. And then at the end of this, like that's it was everybody and anybody. And there was no social media. Nope. There was none of that shit. So everybody is just word of mouthing this. Everybody's watching the Cubs because the only way you're gonna, see the Cubs is watching the Cubs. You're not gonna go on YouTube. Ain't no fucking YouTube in '98.
No YouTube, right?
So what are you gonna do? You're gonna watch the Cubs. You're gonna go down to Wrigley. You're gonna stand outside the damn stadium. You're gonna listen to the radio. You're gonna do whatever you could to go ahead and hear what was going on at that time. And it was so insane. Like, it was such a cultural movement that it did, quite in fact, save baseball. And the ensuing, years after that with these guys, it was saving baseball, right? Because baseball was, in fact, dying after the strike in '94. And you can't deny that whatsoever. Did they take stuff to help their performance? Yeah, yes, they did. But were the owners and Major League Baseball benefiting off of their performance and 100%. and all the attraction that they brought to Major League Baseball? 100%. So if Sammy's got to apologize, and I've heard this before, everybody's got to, like, I think it was Gordon Whitmire, or it could have been him or Jesse Rogers. I'm not sure. But if Sammy's got to fucking apologize, everybody's got to fucking apologize here. Because it's like, you guys let these guys do this for years, decades. I'm going to go out and say decades.
Yeah, Canseco wrote it in his book. He's like, yeah, I was shooting up Mark McGwire in the butt, and I was taking steroids. The Athletics, the whole team was taking steroids.
You can't deny the fact that these owners are liable too. These owners have, but the thing is that when to me, I feel like when this came out, the owners are like, well, we can't look bad, so we gotta throw it on the players. Because if the owners are looking the other way, and everybody's like, oh, these guys are taking steroids to improve their numbers, and it's not all them naturally, that's not going to look good, especially after a strike season. You know what I mean? After you built all this back after the strike, you think they're going to go ahead and say, "Oh yeah, we knew."
You know what it is?
Fuck
It's
no.
it's all those old purists. They're like, "Oh, Babe Ruth is the best." Yeah, he had no competition. They were lobbing 60-mile-an-hour balls, 70-mile-an-hour balls at him. So yeah, he's gonna crank home runs against lesser competition. There was no black, no brown in baseball at that point. The level of competition was plumbers and construction workers that on their off time, when they weren't working, they were playing baseball. It's as simple as that. So
It was like regular ass people.
yeah,
You know
it
what
was
I
a
mean?
softball.
It wasn't
Essentially, it
like
was a softball league.
wasn't guys training for this where it's
No.
their life,
No.
to play. It was they're regular ass people,
Yeah.
and I get that. Like even those regular ass people were doing things, I'm sure, to get an
They were
edge.
drinking and smoking
You know
while
what
during
I'm
the
saying?
game.
Yeah, like, and who knew if? Well, I'm sure they were doing other things too, but like who, who's to say that the players did this without anybody fucking, in the higher ups knowing. Like, I just don't believe it. Like, I don't believe for a fact that a manager or a GM or, somebody doesn't, oh, hey, guess what? This guy put on fucking 20 pounds of muscle overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where's the trainers at? Like, yo, what the fuck? Oh, the trainers are giving them the fucking steroids
Right.
to help their performance.
Right.
So,
Did you see the movie 61?
I did a long time ago. Like,
Okay,
yeah.
well, there's a scene where not the why am I saying DiMaggio? Maris and Mantle, they're going for it, and Mantle gets hurt, and he takes a shot in the hip. What do you think that shot was? It wasn't penicillin. Okay, it wasn't penicillin, but he lived a lifestyle of partying, of drugs, of drinking, women, all this other stuff.
He also tore the shit as a
He played
young
hurt.
man. He
Right.
tore the shit out of his knee, and back then, you tear the shit out of your knee, you're done, young man. Like, it was pretty much putting you out to pasture. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
But what do you think? We need you to play.
What do you think's gonna happen?
We need you to play. The doctor's like, well, I'm just gonna give him whatever he wants.
You need a cortisone shot? What do you think you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're back in the game. That's an enhancer. So it's like I could see.
They want to pick and choose.
Exactly. And I could see where Sammy. I could see where it got out of hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are putting up numbers that aren't going to be, that have yet to be touched again. You know what I mean? And there are guys that could do it. Believe me, I'm sure there's somebody that could get to, I could say 65. I could see a 65 home run hitter.
Your Judge. Yeah, Judge.
I could see somebody, I think, like a Judge or somebody with that type of power could do it. I'm sure we'll see that again. But it was like everybody was doing it in the late 90s, early 2000s. Everybody was capable of hitting 50-run home runs. Everybody was capable of hitting 40 home runs. You had guys on almost every team that were going to put up big numbers, it seemed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they were probably on the shit. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not accusing I'm not saying every single person in Major League Baseball did this. But, if you remember, like Jose and I and a lot of the people that are around our age, that's kind of what it was. Like, everybody, like, baseball was putting up fucking crazy numbers in the late 90s, early 2000s. I just, what do you think that was from? What do you think the cause of that, a lot of that was from, especially the home runs?
Yeah. And you can equate that to like recent history where you have in the last couple of years, it might be 3 years ago when they were juicing the balls because offense was dead. And
well, that's another thing. That's a fucking other thing.
Right.
That why I don't need fucking an apology from fucking Sammy Sosa, because this fucking cocksucker Rob Manfred decides, oh, you know what? We're just not going to acknowledge these steroid guys because they took the steroids and the steroids are bad. But we'll go juice the balls to get steroid era numbers, right? That's exactly what you'll fucking do, because that's what you really fucking want. So it's such a bullshit, a high horse type of argument where it's like, oh, but they took the steroid. Oh, but they weren't doing anything fucking illegal necessarily.
But we're going to change the type of ball.
And everybody was happy with it, including ownership and Major League Baseball. But then we condemn them. We get frustrated because the numbers aren't the same. And then we try to manipulate the ball, tell nobody, by the way, have crazy numbers in, what was it, 18, 19?
Yeah, before
crazy, stupid ass home runs that were being hit that should never have left the ballpark. And then you want to go ahead and say, oh, well, anybody in the owner or Major League Baseball want to be on their high horse about, oh, yeah, well, they took steroids. Fuck you. You're manipulating all of us trying to get steroid era numbers. So it's bullshit all around that people want to go ahead and say, oh, well, he needed to say this or he didn't really apologize. So it's bullshit. You know what's bullshit? Fucking holding this over this guy's head for fucking 30 fucking years or however long it's been. Not letting him in the fucking building. Not letting him, just embrace the fans and have his own type of closure. It's actually a sick game where you need somebody to apologize before anything. It's like who the hell are you? I know it's you. I know you're the owners and everything, but like this guy for your franchise before you owned it saved not only this franchise but was part of saving the league. It's insane. It's insane to force him to do it.
Definitely saved the league with him and Mark McGwire during that era. He left the Cubs after 04, or during 04, I'm sorry, when he was traded to Baltimore. But what you look at is, yeah, he stopped taking steroids because they made him illegal. He was still hitting 40 home runs every year until his last year with Baltimore, where he had 14. I do not side with this new commissioner. I really think he's trying to mess with the game too much for the millennials. You grow the game by introducing it to young fans, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds. That's how you grow the game. You make it easy for them to watch. Put it on public TV for them to watch it, because that's how we got into it, because we would come home at 2:30, 3:30 o'clock from school.
Run to go watch the Cubs game.
And the Cubs were on because they started at 1:20, so you knew you'd catch the end of the game.
And you're a Sox fan too, Jose.
Right.
You're a Sox fan, but you're a baseball fan.
Yes.
Right? So
you're going to watch that.
Right. So you're going to go watch that shit, bro.
Yes.
And I was if I had, so it wasn't like we all had streaming services or cable back then. So I would if I had a chance to go to grandma's house who had cable, I was like, oh shit, the Cardinals are playing the fucking Astros. Here's Big Mac. You know what I mean? The Cubs are on FS1 playing, whoever the hell they're playing. Let's check out Sammy. So it was must watch, drop at any second. If Sosa was up, if McGwire was up, you were fucking running to wherever, the radio, the TV, wherever, to catch a glimpse or listen to the
They would cut away from whatever game it was.
They were cutting away from TV shows.
Yes.
They were cutting away from syndicated TV shows. They're cutting away from news segments. If it was oh, Sammy's at bat. It's 9 o'clock at night. We're at the 10 o'clock news. So there's a 5-alarm fire. But here's Sammy. That's what it was.
Whoops. You'll find about that at 6 a.m. in the newscast.
Exactly. That's how intense it was. But
it did transcend everything, and I do remember because I was working at the Jewel on Southport and Addison in '99 and '98. And you can hear the roar of Wrigley on Southport. And if you don't know, that's almost a mile away from the stadium, and you can see the lights right from there. You can kind of look through the buildings and so forth. I was pushing carts, and I would take my time pushing carts. I go all the way to the end of the parking lot, walk very slowly, and I had a little a wired headphone, and I'm listening to on the radio, and I'm like, Sammy's up, I'm staying out here. And you can hear the roar when he would hit a home run, and it's ridiculous of how much he meant to Cubs fans and to the city and to baseball, and then to make him the villain in the story when he's like, well, I just took what everyone else is taking.
Yeah, but
So you know,
also
come at
Sammy.
me.
Yeah, also Sammy. I think Sammy made himself the villain in a way
At the end, yes.
because the allegations and him fighting it off, and like I said, Sammy's probably was like, oh no, I didn't do anything wrong. It's not illegal because I was in a DR. I don't care about that, right? Sammy's arrogance is Sammy. Sammy was a dick. I'll say it clear. And this is I'm Sosa on the back of this. You know what I mean? Like,
And it is the 21st today.
and Sammy ended up being a dick, and it ended up being a bad marriage. A bad divorce. Excuse me.
A bad divorce.
And
ending with the cork bat and the radio, the boom box and all that. Yeah, I guess it kind of got to his head. It really got to his head where he's like, well, I'm the superstar and I'm bringing everybody in here, and everyone's bitching at me because we're losing. He's like, I can't do everything.
But you also, this is like in the midst of all these allegations, like starting to rear their head and come out, and you know what I'm saying? Like at the end, you know what I mean? Like at the very end, it's like that's when you start hearing about these, you know what I'm saying?
JC chiming in.
That's fine. Like I said, half-ass or what? Like
it was enough to get the Ricketts to concede and say, all right, come back to Wrigley.
I'm just for me, I don't need it, Sammy. Whatever you want to fucking believe, dude. I know what he did for baseball, for the Cubs, for the city. I remember how beloved Sammy Sosa was amongst everybody.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone, Jordan, like Sammy and Jordan were for a twilight on the same level, right? Like not a twilight, for like a quick cup of coffee. One summer, we're on the same level.
Well, the last Bulls championship was '98, and that's the home run year of the chase. So, probably one of the best sports years in Chicago history, or in this United States history. I mean, you have the Bulls finalizing it, and again, we didn't know it was going to be the last dance. We kind of did and didn't. We were like, yeah, right. No one's gonna tell Jordan to go home. And then you have Sammy like out of nowhere going for the chase, and it was. And again, if you watch the movie 61, or if you haven't, please go watch it. I'm sure it's a great movie.
Great movie. It's a good movie.
It was produced and might have been written by Billy Crystal. Story Roger Maris, and I'm so bad with names. Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, that race. And if you see the race, like all the purists and all the race, like, oh, he's no Babe Ruth, and they didn't want Maris to do it. But there's clips of the Maris family traveling to St. Louis. Is it going to be, Mark McGwire, or is it going to be Sammy Sosa? And they're cutting away and this and that. And it's a phenomenal movie.
And the Maris family still holds a grudge against McGwire and all that the guys from that whole era that took, right? And you could feel some type of way. I remember seeing the balls leave the yard. You know what I remember seeing it. It happened. Regardless of what regardless of how strong they were able to put the bat to the ball, and it went over. Now
it wasn't a platoon guy breaking the record. It was already a home run hitter.
Right. He was already establishing himself as a home run hitter. Like I said, he was an athlete. He was stealing bases as well. And then you get to, because Sammy was already playing for the Sox. Like, when did Sammy come in? 88?
Sammy came in 89 with Texas, and then traded to the Sox in 89.
Right. There you go. So Sammy around 95, 96 is about 10 years into his career.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And at that point, Like 95 was his, first All-Star. He finally got an All-Star
All-Star,
selection,
MVP,
MVP, and Silver Slugger.
Silver
Like,
Slugger, yes.
yeah. So like this was when he was about to just jump off. But like Sammy, like I said, for a little bit, you didn't know where he was going. He was with Texas. Now he's with the White Sox. The Sox don't know what to do. What he's going to be. He's kind of up and down. They trade him to the Cubs. And then he starts kind of getting established here with the Cubs. His first year with the Cubs wasn't great. It started to become a thing. Like he was kind of a okay player, like a decent player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But 95 comes along. He steals. How many bases he steal in 95?
In 95, he scored 34.
34 bases, and then he hits 36 home runs, 30-30 club. You know what I'm saying? 36 home runs, 30-30 club. And I'm like, hey, man, like that. First of all, that doesn't look like a steroid guy. You know what I'm saying? And he did it twice. Like he had 30 home runs in 95 and 36 home runs. Or sorry, excuse me. He had 36 home runs in 95, 34 stolen bases. He had 33 home runs in 1993 with 36 stolen bases. So he was doing this. You know what I'm saying? He also had 25 in 94 and 22 stolen bases. So like Sammy was building up, but he wasn't this like boom. It was after that 95 season or going into that 96, 97 where it started to like pick up for Sammy. He hits 40 in 96, drops back down to 36, and then boom, 66, 63, 50, 64, 49, 40, 35, and then 14 when he ended with Baltimore. It was 21 when he ended with Texas.
You know what's crazy? I'm looking at his 2001 stats, and they might have been his best stats.
Yeah.
He had a 10.3 WAR.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what WAR means, it's
160 RBI, bro.
Yes. Wins above replacements. 160 RBIs, 146 hits. So those are two numbers he led the league in. And he had total bases, 425. Like, the man was literally the Ohtani of the time, where if he was up to plate, he was getting on base. Like, he was very feared by the rest of the league and what he can do. So,
and the Cubs sucked.
And the Cubs suck that year.
And the Cubs sucked. And it was all slamming Sammy Sosa. That was the team.
Yep.
That was the team. Grace was on his way out.
Yep.
Towards that time. Like there was no Sandberg. You know what I'm saying? Who we have? Jose Hernandez at second. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing else but Sammy.
Yeah, I'm gonna read out that year's who was on the team. Bill Mueller, Joe Girardi, Michael Tucker. You had Fred McGriff in his twilight.
The crime dog in his twilight. And I remember that when the crime dog came out, I was like, oh, McGriff. Maybe there's going to be something, maybe him and Sosa. No.
Nope. Delano DeShields. I know you remember that name. Augie Ojeda, Miguel Cairo, Robert Machado, Corey Patterson, Julio Zuleta, Roosevelt Brown, Damian Buford, Todd Dunwoody, Chad Myers, Jason Smith. That is
bombs.
You had Gary Matthews, Rondell White, Ron Coomer, Ricky Gutierrez, Eric Young Sr., Matt Stairs, Todd Hundley. Those are all your position players.
Other than Ron Coomer, because I like Ron Coomer. All-star Ron Coomer, by the way. All-star. But that's not great. That's not a team that you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's a great team. So like I said, it was quite literally Sammy Sosa and everybody else.
It was Sammy Sosa and Kerry Wood show. That's all it was.
Well, right, when Kid K came in.
Right, because you had John Lieber, Jason Beret, you got from the White Sox, Kerry Wood, Kevin Tapani, Juan Cruz, Todd
Tapani.
Yeah. Todd Van Poppel. You did have Zambrano on the team. He had just been called up. Kyle Farnsworth, Will Ullman, Jeff Fasaro. Let's see, anybody else you would know. No, it's pretty much it. Yeah, that was Zambrano's first year, I believe.
And like I said, what Sammy did is what he did, and I'm not making an excuse for him. But what I am saying is, I'm fucking done. Like trying to hear anybody keep them out of baseball, right? Like it's sad enough that we had to see. It's sad enough that we had to see Pete Rose
die and not get into baseball
and not get back into baseball.
Right.
I don't want to see these guys that we rooted for, that we were there. We saw they did things. They did things even, like I was saying, Sosa pre, 93, 94, 95, pre when he started to balloon up.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was still doing great. You know what I mean? That's his career started to take off right around then. But then as soon as that happened, the home runs started jumping. And that's when the steroids came into play.
But it wasn't platoon players or minor leaguers that all of a sudden got called up and they're hitting 60 home runs. These were already established stars who already were good hitters. That's the only difference. These guys were already at the top of the totem pole. It wasn't the Corey Patterson hitting 60 home runs from hitting 3 the year before. So when you say it's steroids, yes, it does help you improve recovery time. And if you know how to manage it correctly, if you have a doctor to help you go through that process, yes, you can do them correctly. But they ballooned up. They hit home runs. Just acknowledge it. This was a steroid era. The problem is that Manfred, obviously a disciple of who was the commissioner before?
Oh, Bud Selig.
Bud Selig, right? And that dude was a piece of trash too.
Yeah,
that was Jerry's boy.
Jerry's boy.
He was Jerry's boy. Because he used to own the Brewers and then became commissioner.
He still owns the Brewers.
He does. He still own the Brewers.
I'm looking. I had like a pimple on my knee and it was bothering the shit out of me. Sorry, guys. It was really painful. But he still owns part of the Brewers.
Okay. Well, that's what it was. It was the good old boys club, and we don't want anybody that's not part of the good old boys that's not going to listen to us.
And if you think about it, especially if Jerry's like the fucking the commissioner's pet, like the owner's that's going to be the best owner for bringing back to Major League Baseball. Like part of me thinks that Jerry's fantasy is to be the commissioner of baseball. You know what I mean? Or at least the guiding hand.
Yes. I would say he's the man behind the man controlling everything.
Right. Yeah. Like there's something about that something about Jerry where I could see him wanting something like that to be his position. Mm-hmm. Just because, but Jerry, thinking about how and I know we're going off a little bit off topic with the Sox, but like, I'm frustrated as a Cubs fan listening to White Sox, like, because it's like you really have no fucking end in sight here. Like it's not fucking good, and I say this with the utmost respect. It's not fucking good, and that guy is fucking terrible for the South Side. Whatever he needs to do to come to grips with him not being fucking Jerry Jones or fucking whoever he thinks he could be, Branch Rickey, whoever the fuck he thinks he is. He needs to go. He needs to get out of his fucking mind. What's his son's name? Michael? Talk to his ass.
Michael runs the Bulls.
Talk to your dad about fucking
he doesn't
getting rid of the Sox.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's already established that when Jerry dies, the Sox will be sold. Michael does not want anything to do with the Sox. He doesn't want baseball, which is dumb because the amount of money the revenue is just ridiculous. But he doesn't want to do anything with the White Sox, so he's running the Bulls.
Well, who do you think? Fine. Well, he grew up with the Bulls.
Yes,
he grew up Michael Jordan. I could see that, and that is fine with me because Michael obviously has a connection, has a deep, love for the Bulls, mm-hmm. right? It's he wants it to be his team still.
And he can't put his stamp on it until his dad dies.
Exactly.
That's why you never see him talk in front of the press.
Right. So with the Sox going, I could respect him. Be like, I don't want any part of this team. Like, I don't want this team. Like, this team would just be, yeah, it's been in my. We have both teams. My family owns both teams. If you don't have the love for it, or
Get out.
Get the fuck out. Or if you don't care for it, you don't want to put care into it. Get the hell out. Let somebody else who wants to love this team and wants to put care into this team do it. Because, like I said, even as a Cubs fan, obviously I've been there, but listening to it, it's just like part of me is like, yeah, haha, but the other part's like, fuck you, Jerry. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, stop ruining sports teams in our fucking city.
Yeah. I mean, we can get into that a little bit later where we talk about the different owners and who's the worst owner. But you went through as a Cub fan with the Tribune Company. They bought the Cubs and they were like, well, we're just going to milk this dry because they'd stop signing players. They did not care because people were showing up. No matter what the team they put out there, everyone was still showing up. And you went through that frustration. That is that year. Those years right there, that's the Tribune Company that was running that. So you understand what bad baseball ownership is. And I want to put a bow on the Sammy thing, and I want to ask you a couple questions. Why did they take down his 21 flag down? I don't know if you ever noticed that his flag was taken down. Second of all, when is he going to get his day? And does he deserve a statue?
Okay, I'm going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Right? He deserves a statue.
He
deserves a statue. There's very few guys in Cubs history that impacted. And I don't think there's any other player in Cubs history. Let me go ahead and correct myself.
Sandberg.
That impacted the Cubs on a national and world stage like Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa and that home run chase and put the Cubs and the Cardinals, two Midwestern ball clubs, two of the storied franchises in Major League Baseball, put them at the center of the world because that's who was watching. That's who was watching. I know it was intense over here in Chicago, but the rest of the world was watching too.
Right.
Everybody was watching that year, and Sammy was a part of that. And Sammy was a part of getting us, to the playoffs. I know 2003, but Sammy was a movement man in Chicago, and the Cubs benefited, Major League Baseball benefited, the fans benefited. Sammy did something wrong. We need to go ahead and forgive him and move the fuck on. Even if he doesn't want to say it, just move the fuck on. Who are you to demand, demand him say the exact, you need to say when you took the steroids, you need to say if you were injected in the butt. What do you want to know?
You incriminate yourself?
What do you want to know? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't fucking make sense. Just allow yourself some time to reflect on what he did for the game, for the city, for the team. He made a mistake, right? So did a lot of guys. But a lot of guys have been accepted back into the fold way sooner. Sammy Sosa.
Mike McGuire is coaching, so is Barry Bonds. They're both coaching on teams right now.
I think that's wrong.
It is completely wrong, and it's also completely wrong by this new ownership group to demand this because they've had the team for almost 10 years. You weren't there for this. You were not there for the Sammy era. So who are you to demand an apology from this man that the value of this team is because of him? It would not be as valued as what it was.
No, bro. Hell no.
No. You would be the Oakland Athletics, the least valuable team.
Those years of Sosa in the late 90s, early 2000s set the Cubs up for everything after. Like there was I'm telling you, there's probably so much money in those years going around Wrigley Field and Wrigleyville. And I know the Ricketts came in and they started buying everything, but like the Tribune was making fucking money hand over fist. The neighborhood was making money hand over fist. Oh, remember, the only thing I can equate some of the games like during the home run chase, because Waveland and Sheffield would be fucking packed.
Even when they were away.
Even when they were away,
they were jam-packed.
They were still jam-packed, hanging out, just being a part of just wanted to be a part in Wrigley.
Yes.
Wanted to be a part of the Cubs.
Yep.
I could only equate it to the World Series run. When, and I was working down there, getting off the red line, dude, and I worked like maybe 2 buildings from the red line, right? It took me 10 minutes because the crowd of people, you looked across the street and it was a mass of humanity all the way down the street. You thought you were getting into Murphy's during the fucking World Series? Get the fuck out of here. You might as well just hung out on the street because that's what it was.
Well, I'm pretty sure they could have passed you a beer in the street at that point and no one would have cared.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, like I said, everybody wanted to be a part. And that's exactly the same vibes it was in 98 when Sammy and Mark McGwire had the home run chase that made that summer probably the best summer of baseball I can remember, besides the 2016 Cubs winning the World Series. World Series, Sammy Sosa's 1998 year. That's what it is.
I completely agree with you. And you know what? I don't know, because they did invite him to Cubs Fest, and he has not responded to that invitation yet.
I'm buying tickets just in case. I'm buying tickets just in case, because fuck, man, I want to see Sammy. Everybody wants to see Sammy. And if Sammy gets booed by somebody, I'm not gonna get pissed off at him. Do what you got to do, big guy. But you know what? Just know that you look ridiculous.
Yes.
And it's time to let things go. It's time. Exactly. It's time to open up and accept people make mistakes, but we can go ahead and, like his letter said, let's move forward together. Let's see what happens. A World Series with Sammy as an ambassador. Can you imagine Sammy with the DR connection? You know what I mean? Getting another Sammy in here. That'd be fucking nice.
It's just that this ownership has blown simple things that can elevate the game so much, not only for themselves, but the game of baseball. Sammy is beloved everywhere else, but besides the Cubs ownership, no one else cares. You got the same people that took steroids that are Big Papi took steroids. Alex Rodriguez took steroids. They're both on TV. They're the ambassadors. They're the face of baseball during the playoffs. They both
got to continue their careers.
They did.
They got to continue their careers after. So, like I said, Major League Baseball, they saw it for what it was. You got a bunch of guys that are in their twilight of their career. They're putting up some big numbers because they've already been established, but now they got some power numbers in their game. It was it was just a slap in the face to everybody. Like, whoa, why isn't he banned? You know what I mean? Why aren't they gone? They're cheating, right? They're cheating. Pete Rose isn't even in the game anymore. These guys cheated, but yet you look the other way with this, but not that. Look the other way with these guys, not those guys. Go ahead and look the other way for decades while this shit is going down. Wasn't there rumors of amphetamines going around the clubhouses back in the day, like pills,
Strawberry and Gooden were taking cocaine.
Yeah, they're doing blow in the. I mean, there's let's not act like fucking Major League Baseball has been this angelic organization where all their fucking employees do the right thing and are the role models and it's just fucking not true. Ty Cobb, racist piece of shit, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like Barry Bonds, fucking dickhead. Like it's true. Like there's things about guys that are fucking 100% factual, regardless if they're baseball players or not. But again, why is Ty Cobb still mentioned in the fucking record books? Why is it because it's something that you've seen it. It happened. They did these things.
They did.
You know what I'm saying? They did these things, regardless of what you think. They were the ones that accomplished those feats. I saw the home runs go over the fence, man.
Yeah, it actually happened. All right, Ivan, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about all the Cubs trades and signings, and then we'll wrap it up with the White Sox, same thing. But this has been great, and everybody don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
What up? It's Martin Moreno, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast.
Welcome back to the TCSF podcast with Big Z in the house. We got Ivan from The Tape Never Lies.
Yo.
We've been talking Sammy Sosa, Cubs baseball and stuff like that. Man, I mean, if there's something that's not polarizing about a baseball team, I don't know what is. But let Sammy back into your hearts. Let him back into the field. I hope that he just buys a ticket and just comes in and then sits in the stands.
Dude, you know how fucking crazy that would fucking be if Sammy just went out, right field bleachers, just walked in and sat down and just was sitting there in the front row, shirtless, like just sitting there in the front row.
I don't think he's gonna go shirtless. He's got that skin issue, man.
Getting his tan back or whatever. All right, I mean, but still, like just to see him back would be amazing, and especially in that format where he's one of the fans. Sammy's just one of us. Yeah, it would be.
I mean, that stadium would erupt just to have him there, and that would show everybody like, hey, man, they all love me, man. So get off your high horse and let's just do this, man. Let's do business. Let's do business. You got to be like WWE. People leave, they come back. They leave on bad terms, they still come back. At the end of the day, you're trying to make money.
Hey, man, Eddie Guerrero said it best. I lie, I cheat, I steal. And he became the WWE champion off of those lines. Obviously, I'm not about lying, cheating, or stealing. But, if there is that moral aspect, right, where, yeah, he's cheated. Sammy cheated. So did a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
So what you do is, like, if you're worried about the youth, what you do is you tell the youth, hey, man, these guys are doing things before they made this
rules.
mistake.
Yeah.
Before these rules came up.
Just like people were drinking while they were driving their cars until they put the laws like, hey, 0.08.
Right.
Hey, we're going to put seatbelts in there now.
You just make sure that they understand, that the youth understands, like, this tarnishes your legacy, which it has with all these guys.
Right.
With all these guys, it's connected. It's like an anchor that, that they have to drag throughout life, the rest of their life, with their careers. So it's like, if you want that to be, connected to you always, if somebody finds out that you're doing this shit, I mean, by all means, continue. But it's not a great feeling. It's not a great life to live, because look how long Sammy's been shunned. And I'm sure Sammy's been Sammy, the man of the people. I'm sure he's been dying to come back to Wrigley.
He had that interview with Cap. I don't know if you remember that. He had that. Cap went down there and to interview him with the purpose of getting him back with the Cubs. That was the whole purpose of trying to, mend some fences. Cap is one of the biggest Cub fans. That's what he was trying to do, and it just did not materialize. All right, let's transition over to the moves that the Cubs have done this offseason. Let's start off with the big one. Cubs trade for Kyle Tucker. Tell me how excited you were for this trade.
I never thought it was going to fucking happen. I heard that, you hear the rumors, you heard the rumors and shit, and you're like, okay, like, all right, the Cubs are flirting with this person or flirting with that person, and it just.
And then also like, why is the Astros going to trade a good asset?
Right, that's part of where I was like, why wouldn't they try to work out something with this guy who's been, on par with the top 10 players in the league?
Right, if he wasn't hurt.
So for me, it was like, no fucking way. Like, there's no way. But the way that the Astros have been moving, I guess that they're in need of some type of a structural change, financial, like because of the financial situation.
But they put money over there. There is no financial situation.
I don't. Then again, I don't know what the hell's going on.
They own the entire neighborhood.
They don't. If they don't want to pay Kyle Tucker, who I think like I said, the guy is going to make an impact for us, and he's going to be. I'm not saying he's going to be like the next Babe Ruth or something. I'm not saying he's going to put 66 up or some shit like that, but I think.
He'll hit 35, easy.
That's 34 was my thought. 34,
yeah.
He puts up, let's say, 110, 15 RBI, 20 RBI,
hits
something
280.
like that. Hits 280, and just is a consistent at-bat that comes up clutch for us, right? Hits runners in scoring position. That's what I mean by clutch. Putting the ball in play to bring in runs. That guy will own the fucking city, because I honestly think we have talent that can, that can get to the next level, that can play at the next level. And I'm talking about playoffs, but you need a straw that stirs the drink. And I think Kyle Tucker is that guy.
Kyle Tucker is 1, 2, 3, 4. He's top 5 in top outfielders by FWAR in 2021 and 2024. And he probably would be top 2, top 3 if he doesn't get hurt last year. So in this time span, he's done 525 games, 2,189 plate appearances, 112 home runs, 307 runs, 360 RBIs, 80 stolen bases. He Ks 15% of the time. That's a great number. And he's averaging 280. Look at that, right on the spot. Well, I didn't even read this before I said that.
But also to have a Kyle Schwarber and a Kyle Tucker, right? You know what I'm saying? Back to back. Could you imagine that?
How long have we been saying this with the Cubs? No one fears the lineup. And now you got someone that they can fear as long as he's healthy. This is a great trade for the Cubs. Or were you worried about what you gave up for the trade?
No. Cam Smith becomes the superstar. Fucking so be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so be it. We needed something now. We needed to go ahead and invest in a guy that was established. I know everybody's, he's only here for a year. You don't fucking know that. Let Kyle Tucker experience Wrigley. Let him hit some bombs. Let him see how the summer treats him. And then let's see what he thinks about Wrigley Field. Maybe he's ready to sign, earlier than not. If it is a 1-year deal, well, then at the same time, you know what? Like, fuck, the Cubs are at least going after it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you want your teams to do.
Like, you're going after it. Like, they gave up Cam Smith. How many fucking first rounders have you seen go in the Major League Baseball draft and have become nothing? That are now selling insurance, that are now, real estate agents. That, like, how many have you seen?
I named a couple. I named a couple earlier.
Right. Right. So it's like, if anybody's holding on and like angry about Cam Smith, God bless the kid. I hope he has a great career. You don't know what the fuck you're getting with Cam Smith. You already understand what Hayden Wisniewski is. I'm good with him being gone.
Yep.
You know with Paredes is.
Paredes, yeah.
Yeah, you know what he is. Mid. You know what I'm saying? So you traded those guys for a guy who is on par statistically in the past couple of years with the $700 million man Juan Soto.
Right.
We won. We won. Yes. Like, we won. Now all we have to do is figure out how to get him to stay.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be biggest thing. He will go to free agency. He would be stupid if he didn't. Just because the Cubs are going to lowball you super early, as they should, right? If you look at it, the business side, they're going to lowball you, get a team-friendly deal. And you shouldn't do that. If you're going to put up numbers, he's going to ask for 425, 450 at the end of the year for 10 years. Okay? At this point, this is the way baseball's going. And until there's a work stoppage, which could happen soon, where there's going to be a salary floor and a hard salary ceiling.
There needs to be honest with you, because
it's getting out of hand.
$1 billion player is on the horizon, bro, and I don't think anybody's worth $1 billion.
No,
I don't think, honestly, like, truthfully, I don't think Juan Soto's worth $700 million.
Not at all.
I don't think Shohei's worth the money he's getting. It's inflated numbers because you're able to just throw astronomical amounts of money at these guys, and it's like, I don't see how.
It's been building forever.
Benefits baseball at the end of the day. I just don't see how it benefits baseball.
No, it hurts baseball. It hurts baseball to do that. This started with Alex Rodriguez with the 10-year commitment from Seattle, and then to Texas, and then to the New York Yankees. And to be honest with you, looking at the trade, the Cubs won this trade. Yes, it is for 1 year, but you have first dibs on negotiations with him before he goes to free agency. So you have a week to say, hey, we're gonna burn the midnight oil. We're gonna have coffee and Red Bull and ready to go. And we're gonna talk to you, and we're not leaving your house until you sign on the dotted line. We're gonna figure this out. They need someone in the lineup year after year that is gonna produce for them. That's gonna be a big bat. That the rest of MLB is like, yeah, I don't want to face him. I'm gonna pitch outside, and he hits a foul ball into the air, or he hits a grounder. Great. If not, we're walking him. We can live with that. That's what you want to fear. That only elevates everyone around them on the lineup. Suzuki's going to get better, right? Everyone else, Picor Armstrong is going to develop a little bit better. You got Hap, right? All these guys are going to get better if there's more bats that are feared in your lineup. And that's what the Cubs have not had for a while. And that's why they're winning 85 games in a division that's very winnable, a division that's super weak at the moment. Brewers lost their pitchers, their third baseman or shortstop. St. Louis is a hot mess. The Pirates are the Pirates. I mean, they got great pitching, yes, but the Pirates are the Pirates until they can prove us wrong. Cincinnati might take a step in the right direction this year. I think they have enough of young talent they've been cultivating, and they got some veterans. And I think this is a year, if they can stay out of injuries like they did last year, that's what derailed their season. They can be in contention. But this is the easiest division to win.
I don't disagree.
You've got the manager, right?
The issues still lie within that bullpen and within the pitch. I need another arm, right? Whether it be Jesus, was it Luzando?
Yes, yeah. So the I think it is Luzando. From the Marlins. I had it up here right now. Is this it? No.
Yeah. Whether it be him or somebody else, they need another arm in that rotation, and then adding quality arms that you could, that are consistent is a must in the bullpen. Not just taking flyers on guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no more reclamation projects. Leave that for the South Side. The South Side's doing that right now, and they're getting veterans that just to fill up a roster spot. But the Miami Marlins, Jesus Luzardo is something that kind of started. It cooled off. There's also rumors that the Cubs may be going after Dodgers star pitcher Walker Buehler for a 3-year, $45 million contract with opt-outs every year. with
Okay.
outcomes every year. I
Okay.
mean, he's in
I'm
a
fine with
status
it.
player.
If that's the case, yeah, there's a way to separate. If something goes south, I'm good with that.
Right. Exactly. This is the type of deal that benefits both sides. I
Yeah.
mean, he was one of the top pitchers from 18 to 21. He's a sub 3 RA, 282. He has 4.5 times some more strikeouts than walks. I mean, this is the type of guy that can be at the top of, after who's your Imanaga, right? Imanaga's your number one. He can probably be your 2 or 3. I mean, he's durable. I mean, I think this is a great deal if they can secure it. You do need another strong arm in there, and then just address the bullpen. I mean,
you get a couple more bullpen arms. You get a Jose Luzardo, or you get the Japanese kid.
Oh yeah, they just met with him today. Yeah,
right. You get one of those guys or two of those guys. Now we're talking Cubs are really a playoff contender. Like they're truly a playoff contender. That's what the goal will be this season. But I need to see one more arm. I need to see one more arm in the rotation, a couple more arms in the bullpen, and then we can talk.
Trying to see what else what they did. I think they signed a couple players. I think I had it right here. They signed Matthew Boyd, a 2-year deal. I think that's just a filler arm right now. End of the rotation kind of guy. They traded for Eli Morgan from the Guardians. They signed Carson Kelly on a 2-year deal, a catcher. And in that Yankee deal for Bellinger, they got Cody Potet. I don't know how to pronounce it yet. So,
maybe Poet.
it might be Poet. Yeah. Are you happy that Bellinger's gone?
Happy. Like the player, hate the contract.
Yeah.
So
that was your Jason Hayward of the day. That's exactly what that was for Cubs fans. They reliving the Jason Hayward contract all over again. A bad deal. Great player. You love to have him on there. But
if he was able to hang around, like that would be nice. If the contract was legit, but it wasn't, as my son yells in the background.
Yeah, you have a logjam of outfielders. Can we see Ian Happ getting moved?
No. No, unless like all else like everything fails this season. I don't see anybody getting moved. Especially a guy like Ian Happ for the defense's purposes and left, because now you have two Gold Glovers sandwiching Pete Crow Armstrong. So you have a lot of trust out there. All of a sudden in the outfield, you have a lot of athleticism. You have and you have a lot of veteran leadership. Mixed in with the youth and speed and athleticism of Pete Crow Armstrong. So I think that trio right there, the Tucker, Crow Armstrong, and Happ combination in the outfield is going to be the combination that gets it done. I like it. I'm there's going to be a lot of runs stolen. There's going to be a lot of runs saved. But that's the rotation out there. That's the 3.
I really think that because of the defensive presence in the outfield, the Cubs are going to be a sleeper this year. Like you said, the be able to rob players of doubles and the defense that they'll be able to provide is going to be a really good addition for the Cubs. Up the middle, you got Swanson, who's dependable on defense. His bat is mid, which everyone thought he was going to be a home run hitter. No, he's always been
mid.
Right, he's always been mid. You got to remember that he was sandwiched by so many good players up there in Atlanta. So that's what it is. Your concerns are third base and first base at the moment because Nico Horner's pretty really good second baseman. Michael Busch might take a step forward in the right direction because he was a prospect that was blocked by Freddie Freeman over there with the Dodgers. All right, now your third baseman is Miles Mastroboni.
For now. Talk about Matt Shaw coming up, third baseman. There's still a possibility that the Cubs, maybe they go ahead and bring Bregman in, since Bregman's not going to be going back to Houston. Maybe you can find a place for him there at third base in
He's
Chicago.
older, right? He's about 35.
He's 30, but like he's like earlier 30s, maybe like 33, 32, 33. Regardless, maybe you just get him on a nice little 1-year deal or
he's 30.
or what have you. Okay, so it's even
It's even
30,
better.
but yeah, it's fine. Get him
I
on
mean,
a
he can sign you all Moncada.
Sorry, I threw up in my mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going there, Jose. You got to warn me next time.
Hey man, I gotta keep you on your toes, man.
That's all I need is Yoan making another fucking music video.
Yeah, in Wrigley Field.
That's what I need.
Hey man, they do a concert series there. Why not have a bachata concert series right there? You can bring Aventura or Romeo Santos and everybody else there, man. You'll have a blast. Your other concern is Miguel Amaya and Carson Daly at catcher. Not much is proven there. You do need a battery for these good pitchers.
Yeah. Hopefully Amaya takes a step, because this is a critical year for him.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no progress, his bat came on late last year, but for a majority of the year, boy, was I clamoring for a change. I would just say keep your eye on Miguel Amaya. Carson Daly, I don't know, other than
he was good on the TRL.
TRL, yeah, couldn't get the TRL out of him. But yeah, he's good on TRL. I don't know how he's going to be as a Cubs catcher, but just keep your eye on Amaya, and if he struggles early and he can't seem to get out of it, you might see Daly getting more of the starting reps, or the more of the lion's share of the platoon.
Yeah. I don't have any more Cubs notes. Anything else you got on the Cubs? Cubs Fest is coming up. I think it's January 15th, around that area.
17th, 18th, 19th.
There you go, that weekend. You said you're trying to go. I've been to one Cubs convention, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I've been to a bunch of Sox conventions, and I kind of changed the game because I was the first one to bring a cooler. I literally had a rolling cooler, a backpack, and a messenger bag. So I had all my memorabilia that get signed, and a cooler, and a big old bottle of Jack, and 2 6-packs in there. And people looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's 6 a.m. and I'm drinking. Yeah, I'm gonna be in line for a long time today. So hey, it worked out. I got to party with Alexi Ramirez, and he was late to his next morning, and I wasn't, because I was there in line. He got really mad at me. He likes to drink Johnny Walker, so I kept mentioning that, and he kept laughing, and he had his sunglasses on, and he was pretty upset with me. But hey, that's the cool part of that, and I think that's something that you can do with the Cubs, because it's still at the hotel, right?
I believe so.
Because once they move it to those convention centers, you kind of, it becomes like a baseball convention center, or one of those generic signings where it's not personable. One of the biggest cool things about it being at a hotel that they're staying at and you're staying at is that you might see them in the lobby, or you might catch them after dinner, or they might be at having dinner at a restaurant near the hotel that you may be frequenting. So those are the cool personable things that you may be able to get to see them and talk to them as a person, not so much as a player. Is it up there yet? No.
No.
All right. We could talk about the White Sox before we get off the air.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it'll be quick. Obviously, I'm more in depth with the White Sox and what's going on. I watch what Chuck Garfine's doing, is because he does a lot of pretty good interviews. Obviously, being connected with CS and whatever, Chicago Sports Network, CHSN, he's able to get more access. So I seen him interview the director of, I think, the personnel, not for the minor leagues and so forth. This guy was there for the Marlins rebuild and championship. Same thing with the Royals rebuild and championship. So now he's with the White Sox, and he's going to be taking over for what's going on in the minor leagues. And if you don't know that the Double-A minor league team for the White Sox did win the championship, and you've got these core guys that they've been drafting and collecting, and they're growing together. Now you're adding more pieces, so you're going to see a lot of youth coming into the White Sox, and it's the right way to go. Bad teams have great farm systems because they don't have a good product on the field at the major league level. If you look at the Dodgers, if you look at Atlanta, they're not in the top 5, top 10 because those guys either have moved up or they've been traded. So they're all the way back down while they're competing for their pennant. That's what's happening. So if you're a Cub fan, you're like, oh, you want to be able to win and have top prospects. That's not feasible. You've got to trade something to get something. Or if you have a great farm system, then that means your team really, really sucks. The Orioles have a great farm system that's all playing almost at the major league level at this point because they suck. They lost over 100 games 4 or 5 years in a row. That's what happened. So with the White Sox, I think I have it up here. Oh, that's the Cubs. The White Sox, let's see. Kyle Farmer's gone. Max Kepler's gone. All right, cool. Mike Clevenger's gone. Chris Flexen, Yoel Moncada, Gavin Sheets, Max Strassi, all gone. They acquired Austin Slater, outfielder Mike Tauchman. I think that's a great signing for the White Sox to get Mike Tauchman, a good contact hitter to put the top of the lineup. Bryce Wilson, 1-year deal. We got Matthias. What's his Matthias? Tyus? Whatever. He was on the Cubs. He was a catcher. We got him for cash. You're like, I didn't even see him play.
Not my problem anymore. that's what I said. Not my problem anymore.
Yeah, not my problem anymore. We traded Craig Crochet, which I think it was time. It sucks. If you're rebuilding, you've got to blow it up.
There was nothing that was gonna come of that relationship after a certain point. Like like I said, I use that Space Jam analogy where it's I forgot who else. I don't think it was for Crochet, but it's the same. Jerry's gonna make them fucking pitch every day, and dogs are going crazy up there. Pitch every day, and they're gonna suck, and all they're gonna do is lose. And Crochet's gonna throw 103 just to lose the game in the 9th inning because the Sox suck. Like that's kind of how that's.
That's what he said in an interview. He literally said, he's like, I would go home and I'd be in the car and I would just think to myself, what the fuck just happened? I just pitched 6-7 innings of 1 run or 0 runs given up, and then we lose 9-1 or 9-0. Because the bullpen sucked, the offense sucked, the coaching sucks, the GM sucks, the ownership sucks, and it's so bad for the fans because they have as many passionate fans as the Cubs do, like in the city. I know the Cubs have way more worldwide Cubs fans, understandable, I get it, but there's a lot of diehard Sox fans that support this team. You just don't see them at the stadium because they don't support spending money for an organization that does not put a winning product on the field. When there's a winning product, that stadium is jam-packed. Also when there's giveaways. But that's marketing. Crochet was traded to the Red Sox for Kyle Teal, the 25 overall prospect in MLB, outfielder Braden Montgomery, who was another number 1 pick by the Boston Red Sox, but did not get to play last year because he tore up his ankle. He was 54th overall, and that's why he dropped. Infield Chase Meredith, another really good. He's the number. Boston is 11th prospect. So they got 2 prospects that have been drafted in the last couple of years at the number 1 pick by Boston. An 11th prospect in Chase Meredith. I think that's more a platoon player, but he does have power. And then Wickelman Gonzalez is a pitcher that will be developing, and the White Sox can develop pitchers, so I think this is a good trade.
Is his name Wickelman?
Wickelman, Wickelman.
Wickelman Gonzalez.
Yes.
Let me write this down.
Are we making shirts?
Let me type in this fucking name, Wickelman Gonzalez. What the fuck? Not that I don't believe you, Jose. It's just
I know you do.
I gotta see this motherfucker's face. Yeah, he looked like a Wickelman.
Are you thinking Harvey Whippleman? That's WWE. That's the old manager.
No. It's just a crazy ass fucking first name, Wickelman Gonzalez. Like who?
Dude, I'm a teacher. I see the weirdest stuff with
It's
people's names.
crazy as hell, bro. Like Wickelman.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I just wanted to touch on the Sox. I think that they're going in the right direction by building a foundation and then going north. I do see them trading Luis Robert, if not after the new year. They'll probably wait till the trade deadline. I know the Phillies were hot after him, but you know they keep saying he's a 5-tool player, but it's hard to do stuff if there's no one else on the team protecting you.
It's also hard to do stuff if you're not on the field.
Yeah, well, a lot of those might be fake injuries just to stay home.
Pull
out the.
I hope not. I would hope not, but.
We've heard worse things from the White Sox clubhouse.
That's true. That's true. That is.
People sleeping in the bullpen. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. So again, the jury's still out on Chris Getz, first time general manager. I think he got fleeced in the Dylan Cease trade, in my opinion. But we shall see what's going to happen going forward with the White Sox. All right, that wraps that up. I just want to mention a couple of things. Baseball, Ricky Henderson passed away today. And at first I didn't believe it because it wasn't reported by the major markets or John Heyman or anybody of that. So, just want to give shout outs and respects to his family and friends. If you don't know who Ricky Henderson is, go YouTube that dude. He was that dude for the Athletics, stealing bases and did not give a fuck.
Records that could probably never be
broken. No.
I think that one's in stone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Another quick note on baseball: the owner and I don't know if you heard this, but the owner from the Phoenix Suns is going to be purchasing the Minnesota Twins. But before he did that, he offered to buy the White Sox from Jerry Reinsdorf, and he said no. What a moron. What a fucking moron. This is the man that was in the news this week for lowering concession stands to $2. $2 hot dogs, $2 pops, $2 pizza, $2 fries, or I don't know what else. But he's like, it's insane that a family has to go broke to feed their family here. It just makes no sense. Hey, if you lower the prices of concessions, and you put it moderately priced for a ticket, people will show up with their family. And that's something that the White Sox do have. They have that family atmosphere. Especially on Sundays, the kids get to run the bases, and it's a 4 for $44 pack or something like that. 4 tickets, 4 dogs, 4 pops, and 4 tickets, and parking's $5. That's great. I don't think that should go away ever. But in my opinion, if the kid is under 12, they shouldn't be paying for a ticket. Grow the sport. You have a responsibility to grow the sport for the youth. Right now, the average age of a baseball fan is about 50-something. You've got to grow the sport. You've got to make it fun. If you want to go back to juicing the balls, I'm all for it. I want to see home runs. I'm all for it. But also make the omission and say, we're going to address the steroid era. That's what it was. It was a steroid era. We don't condone that. We don't do that anymore. But at the same time, it happened, and we're going to honor their records, and we're going to honor everybody that was on there. Am I saying they should be in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. That's not up to me, because the Hall of Fame is a separate entity outside of baseball. It's all, and especially with the writers having so much say. So that's my 2 cents on what's happening with baseball, man. Anything before we get out of here, Ivan?
No, I got nothing. Just like I said, have this Sammy as my son screams. Have this Sosa thing. Just look at it with through new sets of eyes. Have open arms. Just allow it to be, and let's see what happens. But I think having Sammy back is going to make a lot of people happy in Wrigley Field and around baseball, because he did a lot. He did a lot for this team. He did a lot for the league. He did a lot for the sport.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope they do it at in the middle of summer, either June 21st or, July 21st, so that way, they can be Sammy Day and have the mayor declare it Sammy Day, just have a big celebration. I don't think they'll have a statue for him at this point, not for this year, but I really think that they should put a, 8-foot statue in front of the marquee on the corner of Clark and Addison. As everybody comes into the main door by the marquee, that's what you see. That's the first thing you see, and make it, make it a superstitious thing that you've got to tap his nose or give him a high five or whatever the statue is, as you come in. But he definitely deserve it. All right, Ivan, this was fun, man. This was definitely a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking baseball. And you're the man to watch to talk about Sammy Sosa, because you were there and I was there, and he meant so much to us. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Everyone who's listening, thank you for sticking and supporting us through 226 episodes at this point. Thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. You know what to do when you get to gritclothingcompany.com. Check us out on social media. We are on Twitter or X at TCSF Podcast or True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, IG, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all that stuff. Subscribe, share, and help us out. If you have something to talk about where it's stirring the pot or a topic of sports in Chicago, hit me up at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right, for Ivan, I am Big Z, and we'll see you next time for episode 227, which will be Monday. We'll see you, and until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.